Hey, hello, and welcome to the show. It is me, John Park, and this is JP's product pick of the week. And despite it being April 1st, there's nothing silly going on here. I actually just kind of screwed up the date in the title, so thank you over in the YouTube chat to Jeff Hunt for mentioning that the title was wrong. Hopefully, it's the only place it was wrong. I think I just missed it in the title, but not the description on YouTube. Everywhere else should be good, and I think I fixed that now. So, whew! Okay, no time traveling, no April Fools. Hello to people in the chats: YouTube, Quinman16, Jeff Hunt, Joey, Zoe, Sherry, pardon me, Dave Odessa. Hello, thanks for popping in. If you're somewhere else and you're wondering where's the chat, who's he talking to? Look for this place, Discord. Go to adafruit.it/Discord. Look for the live broadcast chat channel, and over there you will see people hanging out. That's where it's going on. I am distracted for a moment because I'm going to set my phone to a different Wi-Fi network, and you'll see why in a moment when we get to some demos. And I don't want to forget that. So let me see if I can get that switched over. Otherwise, there will be confusion later. So let's change that. There we go. Okay, we're on the localist of locals. Ooh, Jeff Hunt, you caught me. Lighted hoodie. We'll pop that on in a second too. So, what is this? What's going on? Well, this right here is the product pick of the week URL and QR code. If you want to go check it out, it is, we stashed a bunch. New Products team stashed a bunch before the show, and then we slashed the price in half. I don't think you're going to find a better deal than this. Not by a long shot. What a good deal. But I won't go there yet. I'll let you go there because this show is broadcast from inside the product page. So if you want to check it out inside there, you can do that. You can browse around. You can click on things. You can buy stuff. You don't need a coupon code. The price is just simply reduced until the end of the show. After the show's finished, the price will go back up. You may want to stock up. You may want to stock up on some add-ons for this if it's your jam. But, as is customary on this show, before I get too much further ahead of myself, I'm going to let Lady Ada tell us about this new product pick from the new segment on Ask an Engineer. So please take it away, Lady Ada.
A Sparkle Motion Mini. So this is an all-in-one board with an ESP32 microcontroller. It's designed specifically for use with WLED, but you don't have to use it with WLED. Nope. I particularly like WLED. I think it's great. This will work with Arduino, with CircuitPython, with MicroPython, with ESP-IDF directly if you want. It's got ESP32, which is kind of the classic microcontroller that we all know and love. The reason I use the classic is it has the best support in WLED. Even though it's not the latest, it doesn't have native USB, it's still kind of like the end-all be-all, always is like the most natively supported. Using the mini module with internal antenna. You power it over USB Type-C. So this Sparkle Motion board doesn't have PD or 12 volt support. It's for 5 volt, which again is the vast majority of LED that people drive anyways. It has a USB to serial converter with auto reset, so it's really easy to install WLED or upload any software to it. You just plug into USB, it shows up with a COM port, upload, debug, whatever. And then we added a bunch of niceties that make it easier to drive LEDs and control hardware with it. So on the very right, there is 4 pins that have ground, pins 33, 32, and 5 volts. And those are the power outputs plus 2 level shifted digital output pins. So those are 5 volt level outputs. So you can drive like any digital pixels, even the ones that are picky about the voltage level. You don't have to worry about it. It's auto shifted for you. There's a reset button and GPIO 0 button. You could use that to manually bootload if you need it, but you should never need it. But you can use the number 0 button as a user input. There's a built-in mini NeoPixel and a built-in LED, a red LED that blinks. There's a 3-pin JST SH connector with analog input or output. And so you digital input out as well. So you could use that to connect an infrared receiver, a sensor, a button, whatever. There's also a semi-QT connector for connecting I2C devices. You want to add an OLED, you want to add a rotary encoder, I don't know, whatever. Whatever you want over I2C will connect there. On the bottom, we have a 4-amp fuse. A lot of people ask me to put a fuse on. The reason I did do a 5-amp fuse is that when I tested this board, it's a 4-layer board, and it has a gigantic ground plane and a gigantic power plane. It couldn't really do more than 4 amps before the current started dipping. The voltage really started dipping, and I started overheating quite a bit. And so the amp is a 4-amp fuse, which is still pretty good. It'll trip, higher 6 to 8 amps depending on the temperature. There's an I2S digital microphone, so you get really good quality audio, so you can do audio reactive projects. And then there's a 2x3 header on the top left there with power ground and 4 more GPIOs. So you can, if you want to connect an external, again, rotary encoder or potentiometer, buttons, another I2S microphone, whatever, you can do it. 4 mounting holes. So great for WLED, specifically designed for it, will work wonderfully, but you can also use it for anything else. Anything else.
That's right. Hey, yes, that is it right there. Look, look, look. Okay, let me pick it up because this is my product pick of the week this week. It is the Sparkle Motion Mini. It is an ESP32 WLED-friendly NeoPixel LED driver board that is ready to go, ready to roll. You can use it with Arduino, you can use it with CircuitPython, but it's super, super slick for WLED. So let's get to it. What's going on here? Let's start off with the product page. So if you go to this URL that I posted earlier, it's product ID 6160. You can see right here we have it on sale for $8.48. It is a heck of a capable little board, and if you scroll down there you'll see some of the salient details. So this has a USB-C connector. You can plug in 5 volts up to 4 amps to drive up to 2 LED strips. There's 2 GPIO, although to be honest, in WLED in particular, you can get a lot done with a single pin, and I'll show you what I mean in a minute using some segments. You can use the USB to serial chip that's on there to upload or flash the software to it, either using the WLED software. There's an install website that just plug it in and off you go. Or you can use ESP Tool or any of the other available tools for uploading code to an ESP32. Once you do that, you can give it Wi-Fi credentials for your local Wi-Fi, and then you're off to the races using things like the WLED software, which let me load up an instance of that right here. So I don't have anything on or running, but right there, that's connected to one of these WLED Sparkle Motions that I have, and you can set the color on that. We'll do some real demos in a moment. But that's one of the great ways to use it. We also have a lot of bonus features. So there's a 4-amp fuse on there. You've got some breakout pads for 4 extra GPIO pins. There is a JST connector for using external analog inputs or digital inputs. There's also a STEMMA QT port on there, so you can plug in all kinds of great things, such as sensors. And then on board there is a user button you can use, button 0, which is useful. It's in fact defaults on this for essentially being an on-off switch for your LEDs when you have WLED running on there, but you could use it for anything. There's a built-in onboard red LED. You can use that to blink and know that things are running. There's a built-in onboard NeoPixel, which is useful for analyzing your output. If you have issues with a strip, you can see, am I sending messages properly? And then we've also got mounting holes on there to make it easy to connect up to your project. You can see right back there is that little ESP32 mini module. And one of the top features, I think, of this one is built-in I2S microphones. We can use that for sound reactive projects. So let me demo that first. I'm going to go back to a full screen here, and I'm going to pull this hood on for some dramatic lighting, and what you'll see here is I've got my Sparkle Motion Mini right there. I'm going to press the user button, which turns it on, and now I am, let me turn down some lights here. Yes, that's right, running some audio reactive software. The microphone is just kind of hanging out down there. That's where the Sparkle Motion is connected to some strips of NeoPixels, and you can see it's doing audio reactive coolness. Let me bring up the interface to that so you can keep watching what's going on with the LEDs. Thanks, Jeff Hunt, says you're so animated. So if you take a look in my web browser here, I'm running the WLED web page that is being served by my little Sparkle Motion, the one that's attached to me, not that one, but and I have here some presets. So I can go to a nice little chase pattern that I've got set up. I believe I can change the color on that. Let's go to blue chase pattern. And then I've got DJ light. What DJ lights? This was frequency wave. That's the one I was running at first. And then here's one that's not audio reactive. I think this one just runs and runs. Same with a little scanner, kind of a little Larson scanner that goes from one strip, one side to the other, and back and forth. And those are all things that you can set up inside of the WLED interface. If we look at, let's take a look back at this FreakWave one. This one is running on a single segment with a mirror effect. We can flip that around. We can reverse the direction of it. But where things get really interesting is with multiple segments. So switching back to my scanner here right now, you can see I've got a set of what I'm calling 32 LEDs. It's a strip of 16 and some wire connecting it and a strip of 16. These are all plugged into the default pin 33 on the Sparkle Motion. And if I take this and tell it, you know what, let's just run this on 16 pixels. So I'm going to set that to now just be running on 0 through 15. The stop LED is not used. And now I'm going to add a second segment, and I'll say, okay, that goes from 16 to the end. And now you can see I've got completely different patterns running, different effects and colors running on the two. If I set them both to be a scanner, and both to be red, set segment 0 off, and segment 1 to scanner. Oh, does that one want to go red? Let me go solid with that for a second, make sure it's responding. Okay, and now let's try to turn them both to scan. You gonna scan? What's up, segment 1? Why are you being funny? Live demo. Let's go find scan down in here. Scanner. I don't know why. Oh, because it's not turned on. I've picked a weird one. Let's go to scan. There we go. Why is it so slow? This should just, yeah, this one's not audio reactive. Okay, so good. So now I don't know what was going on there, but now they're in sync. And you can see, since these are, oh yeah, see that one's not wanting to change color when I change color. Why? I don't know why. I'll leave it alone. We'll leave them both at blue. What we should be able to do, however, is on this segment 1 here, which is this one here, reverse the direction of it, and now they're going to act in concert with each other. Even though this is just a single strip, you can treat it as if you have multiple strips, which is why I was saying before, you don't really need to worry too much about having multiple pins unless you get into a lot of LEDs, but this will work pretty well. I think they state something like 300 LEDs on a pin should be fine memory-wise, and with this one we don't have huge amounts of current. So that's an example. Sorry, I'm not sure what was going on there with some of the weirdness. You can save these as presets too, so I'll call that blue scan. Save that. And now I can go and switch back to my auto-reactive DJ lights. You can see I'm treating them sort of like two. Go back to my chase, kind of flowing in the same direction, and here's that new one I created, the scan. Oh, Scan, did I not save that right? Blue scan, there we go. And now they're synced up again. So that's an example. Let me take off the hood here. That's an example of using it with the audio reactive, and then I can go and power this off here, or I can go ahead and hit the user 1 button, which is going to default as powering that off. So those are off now. And we can now take a look at my little Lars setup back there. So let's go to this other tab. So this is a separate sparkle motion that you can see right there. I'm going to turn that on in the interface. And now we have this kind of nice little glowing cage for Lars. This is 200 LEDs, 200 NeoPixels on one of our Pebble NeoPixel strips here, acting as sort of stage lighting for our good friend Lars. And that's a single strip. So again, using this segments in WLED, even though I kind of wound it willy-nilly, I was able to take about 15 minutes, 20 minutes to characterize which of these I should treat as separate segments. And so now I can do things like pick all of the top elements or all of the left elements or all the right elements and change them. So let's start off with acting as a single strip and a single segment. You can see this is the pattern going from the beginning to the end that I wound this stuff around. So it's sort of chaotic. But by going and telling it that these are two diagonals on the left, even though I have completely separate numbers. This is a horizontal. This is two horizontals here, and so on. I was able to set them to their own sensible colors. And then in this example, stage 2 here, you can see again, even though this is probably 10 or 20 pixels that have completely different numbers from this set, I'm able to call those a green chase, and I'm able to set these as purple chase here, including this, including the bottom. The stuff on the right is set as a blue chase. So really fantastic stuff that you can do in LED. Of course, with the Sparkle Motion Mini, you can program that in Arduino. You can use things like fancy LED. You can use in Arduino fast LED. There are a bunch of different pieces of software out there for this, but wow, does it work great for WLED. And now you can also go and say, okay, let's take a look at an example where I just have a single strand, this stage 0 one, and with those picked, I can go and just set them to a kind of uniform blink pattern and maybe change the color of that. So we can go and adjust things like timing on that. Let's get a real fast blink. And a short duty cycle, so that it's very, very good for reprogramming Lars's brainwave patterns, I think. Sorry, I should have had a blinking warning on that. Let's slow that down. So we'll go back to this stage lighting here, and let's take a look at the Learn Guide for this. If you head over to the bottom of the product page and click on Primary Guide, Adafruit Sparkle Motion Mini. There's also some in-depth guides about if you end up with any issues installing drivers to do the USB, the serial over USB. We have a guide on that, and then there's a number of Learn Guides of projects. But if we go to this main Primary Learn Guide here, you'll see we've got pinout diagram here. It'll show you how you can use this. We've got a little set of 3-volt power pin on the side. Here's the 5-volt, excuse me, from the converter that's built on board. And then that's what you're going to use to power your NeoPixels. So it uses 5 volts, so you don't have to worry about finicky LEDs that don't like working at 3. This is going to run at 5 volts. Here's our ESP32 module at the bottom. Those are the 2 pins that you can work with for NeoPixel strips. So you can, sorry, one second, I just want to move my, there we go. I just wanted to move my VU meter out of the way because I had some batteries die before. I wanted to make sure they were safe. So those are the 2 different pins. Again, you can set that in CircuitPython, in Arduino, or inside of WLED if you want to pick different pins for strips. Get a couple of different strips on there. These are some I/O pins that you can use for pretty much anything. Some of these are available as capacitive touch pins, as TX, RX, so there's some general use stuff there depending on what you're creating. And there are some provisions inside of WLED. You don't have to just use those in CircuitPython. There are some provisions in WLED for doing some add-ons, user add-ons, such as the I2S microphone. Then we've got the STEMMA QT port. We've got onboard LEDs. You've got the user button and the reset button. There's the location of that little microphone, although you can see I'm not having to, I'll turn this, this one back on over here into a reactive mode. You can see those are reacting to me talking, and the microphone is way down here, just hanging around. By the way, I didn't mention I've got this really cool 3D printed case that you can either print yourself. We have the model available for that, or you can buy the case in the store. I think that's linked at the bottom of the product page for this, or along the side. Ruiz Brothers design, and we get those printed in batch, and you can buy one of those. Very nice, nice cases that has living hinges for the buttons and some mounting slots for like a webbing band or for sewing it onto your project. By the way, I should also mention this plays well with USB battery packs. So the one that I'm wearing, I'm just running off of one of these big 20,000 milliamp hour batteries here. I haven't done the calculations on it. It'll depend on your how many LEDs you're using and for how long, what the duty cycle is on them. But that's how I'm running this one. So I don't have any wiring to walk off and trip me as I walk away. So if we go back to microphone, okay, there's the CH343 USB to serial converter. That's just on board, and we've got instructions for installing drivers if you need to. And then the guide goes on to show you how to connect up LEDs. So here's a couple of different scenarios. If you're using something like a dot star that has clock and data, you'd use 2 pins, and then with a single strip, you'd use pin 32 or 33 power ground. With 2 strips, you'd pick both of those, one each for data, shared power, shared ground. There's some calculations here on how many NeoPixels you can run at what current, depending on your uses. General rule of thumb is 60 milliamps per pixel at full white, bright RG and B diodes all the way lit up. And that'll vary if you aren't using those mixed colors, if you're using pure colors, if you're only running every other LED, and so on. This one here I'm running with I think it's a 3 amp, yeah, it's a 3 amp 5-volt supply, and it's doing fine with 200 LEDs, and that's a $5 power supply. So with these you can get away with pretty simple power setups. And then there's info there on the WLED setup, CircuitPython setup, and Arduino setup, and some other info in there. So go check that out. Go check out some projects. There is the lovely little Sparkle Motion right there. Let me see if there's any questions in the chat. Jeff Hunt asks, so this is not connected to the internet, just local? Yes, that's right. So when you first install the software to this over USB, it has a little web server it runs that is tiny little Wi-Fi. You connect to it from your phone or your computer. You'll log into that with the password WLED1234, I think. Once you're on it, you can give it the Wi-Fi access point login and password for your local network. And there's no internet being used. I don't know if there's any scenario where WLED can use does use the internet, but I think it's all just local commands, and you can go to the device itself. That's what these web pages are. They're on my network. The one behind me there showed up as 192.168.1.69. So that's what this one is right here, and that's just over a local network. Let's see, other questions. Does not, yes. Zoe Sherry, so since the mini board does not support 12-volt output, does that mean it's not able to run the cafe patio lights? You're correct. Yeah, this is for 5-volt LED strips only, not the 12 volts. So the full-size Sparkle Motion, which is out of stock right now, I think Lemore's doing a little revision on it. Wait for that if you want to do the 12-volt style patio lights or big, thick, fake neon, that kind of stuff. Tyeth says you can connect it to the internet, but WLED is designed for local usage first. Yes. Okay, and let's see. Any questions over in the Discord? Let's see. Pins 32, 33 level shifted to 5 volt. Is that only for output? Curious if it's still 3 volt sensitive for just one of them being used as an input. I do not know the answer to that, but not only do we have the JST for input, there are 4 GPIO pins up in the corner that you can use there. You see that little, if you look on the picture of the bottom of it, it says 3 volt ground, and then pins 24, 14, 26, and 25. Those can be used as GPIO pins that are at 3 volt logic. Let's see, will I have to solder connectors to control an LED strip? Yes. So with this one here, the one that's around my neck, if I pop the case open, and let me move this little down shooter camera and try to stay connected to it. Okay, so let me, whoa, fix that focus. All right, if you bear with me. Okay, so if you see there, I have a JST 3-pin cable that is what my NeoPixels are connected to, and that is soldered here. You can get, in the product page, you can get a little set of screw terminals that you can solder on there, but then screw your wires in from there on out. But there will be soldering involved. There may be some sort of no solder solution that you can use, like little sort of crimp connectors that you squish into there, but your best bet will be to solder into those. All right, boy, that's a lot of Lars. What else? So right out of the box, it will work, asks Thin Man. There's not a WLED installation on it when you get it. So the first thing you'll do if you want to use a WLED, it has, I believe, an Arduino demo code on it to begin with, and I'm not sure even what that does. I immediately flashed mine. Retired Wizard, if you set up a separate 12-volt power circuit, ground connected, I think you could use this to drive the patio lights. Maybe? Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I know that for some of our patio lights, there's a separate driver chip to get the data level to comply with it, but that might just be the ones that are kind of a weird inverted. One of our patio lights has like a inverted NeoPixel data stream. So we have a chip for that in specific. You might have to cook that up. But ask in the chat, ask in help with projects maybe. I don't think we have a WLED specific forum if you want to see if someone has any setup for that. Yeah, John Nodge, press in or hammer pins might work depending on what you're connecting things to. Zoe Sherry says you could use test hooks to bypass soldering. Yeah, if you really need to bypass soldering with these, you could get away with some stranded wire and threading it through and twisting it real well, but you do run the risk of losing contact a little bit or shorting things. So ideally with this one you'll solder. I think with our full size, let me check this. I think with the full size Sparkle Motion, there are screw terminals built on. So if you really need to avoid soldering, then I would wait for these to be re-released because they come with that built on. So that's more plug and play and more options for powering it and so on. But if you want the Mini, if you want it at a half price, it's a great price difference right now. And if you want to get it with the wearable size, pocketable, plug it into USB battery pack, use the onboard microphone, it is hard to beat that. I mean, come on, look at that. That's great. All right, I think that's all the questions. Thanks everyone for coming by in the chat and asking and answering questions. So let's wrap that up. That right there is my product pick of the week this week. It's the Sparkle Motion Mini. It's a WLED ready ESP32 LED NeoPixel compatible driving board that can also run CircuitPython and Arduino. Thanks everyone so much for Adafruit Industries. I'm John Park, and this has been JP's product pick of the week. I will see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye, Lars.